Let me go ahead and record. Okay, so this week is chapter 10, 11, and 12, and the very first thing said to apply our knowledge of the content of this chapter to the qualitative adoption of pedagogical tool study by Lico and Brownwell, starting on page 306. So number one said, from what sites and participants did the researcher collect their qualitative data in the adoption of pedagogical tool study? Did they purposefully sample a small number of participants and sites, and what types of participants did they select for their sample? Do you want to start, Victoria?
Yeah, so for the first part of the question, they collected data from 6 pre-service teachers, 6 practicum cooperating teachers, 5 reading method course instructors, and 3 field supervisors. I didn't see them mention a site from where they collected the qualitative data, so I just put that they didn't mention anything. I don't know if you guys caught anything different.
I don't remember. I can look back.
Yeah, I was also reading like a little bit above where they started the study. There was some notes in the textbook saying like pay attention to how sometimes studies may not always say where the site is or where they get the data from as far as sites. So I'm assuming there wasn't anything mentioned. They just said who they got the data from.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of the second question, yes, they did purposefully sample a small number of participants and sites. As far as the type of participants, I'm not sure what that question really meant, but I know they did apply the maximal variation sample strategy. And that basically means that they wanted to secure a sample of participants that had kind of various diverse backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I put in a quote there. And yeah, I don't know if you guys got anything different from
No, I'm in agreement with your answer, Victoria. That sounds good. And I didn't see a site either.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know if for types of participants, it would be like students or teachers, things like that. That's what I would think it's talking about, but...
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can add a sentence about that. Kind of, is that what you mean, like the type of teacher? Basically, kind of in the first part where they're either a pre-service teacher or supervisor?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So moving on to number 2, what type of data did the authors collect to learn about the process of adopting pedagogical tools? And in what ways did these types of data fit or not fit the study's purpose? So I read through the study, and I found that the types of data the authors collected to learn about the process of adopting these tools were videotaped interviews of the pre-service teachers, and I put a quote in there that said at the beginning, middle, and end of the semester they videotaped their interviews. The interviews also included participants cooperating teachers, so the the pre-service teachers, instructors, and field supervisors. So additionally, there were classroom observations where extensive field notes were taken and recorded on a laptop computer. And then audio-visual materials were used in the form of video clips from classroom observations to use for the teachers to reflect on. And then artifacts were collected in the form of pre and post concept maps, as well as 4-question surveys, student work, and course syllabi. And then for the second part of the question, the ways in which these types of data fit the study's purpose are, as the authors explained, and I thought maybe a quote would explain it best. They chose qualitative methods for this study because they result in in-depth information that leads to greater understanding of the pre-service teachers' perceptions, experiences, and practices. And then they went on to explain that the data they collected helped them better understand the influences on special education pre-service teachers in regards to the appropriation of their pedagogical tools in reading. All right. Did you guys have anything different or anything to add?
I don't.
Yeah, I think that was perfectly fine.
Okay. All right, so for number 3, what procedures did the researchers describe related to their qualitative data collection?
Okay, so for this one, kind of bouncing off of what you said, so they use interview, observation, and artifact data. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just did a little bit of a overview of what that consisted of. So the observation data, conducted 3 videotaped observations, beginning, middle, and end of the semester. Took and compared extensive field notes and used the observation instrument tool to rate these observations.
Mhm.
For the interviews, they conducted 3 semi-structured tape-recorded interviews before any classroom observations, in conjunction with classroom observations, and 1 at the end of the data collection phase. And for the artifact data, it was the concept maps about reading instruction completed at the beginning and end of the study, as well as a 4-question open-ended survey. So I don't know if that's necessarily what the question's asking for, but that's kind of what I interpreted that it was asking for.
I think
Yeah,
so.
I kind of got confused between like types of data and the procedures, because the procedure is going through the observation, the interview, collecting artifacts. So
I agree.
So I don't know if you ladies have any like comments about that question and the way that I answered it.
No, I think you did a great job.
yeah.
It's pretty clear. All right. So for number 4, what are some examples of ethical and field issues that confronted the researchers in the study? And then you were supposed to support your answer with evidence or quotations from the article. So Victoria, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so Sandra, I saw your note. That would basically pertain to the quote on 311 where it says Table 1 provides demographic information for the 6 pre-service teachers, in all parentheses, all identified with pseudonyms, as well as data concerning their practicum placement. So by using the pseudonyms for the participants, the researchers basically avoid that ethical issue by protecting their anonymity.
Okay.
So perfect. I was like really trying to find where the author said it. I felt like it was really hard to find. But the next one, I don't know if it really pertains, but in phase 1 of selecting their sample, the research team worked in conjunction with the special education field experience supervisor to generate a list of pre-service teachers N equals 18 who met these selection criteria. So 2 field issues that were listed in the book was having a gatekeeper to have access to the site, and then also having the ability to like recruit participants in a sufficient way. And I feel like in this quote, the special education field experience supervisor is kind of the gatekeeper because they know the pre-service teachers, and then because of that reason, they're kind of also limited in recruiting a lot of more people to participate in the study. I don't know if you guys think that applies. But then I came up with a couple other examples. In phase 2, the author wrote, to secure this sample, we asked 18 pre-service teachers to complete an open-ended survey assessing their beliefs and prior experiences. This is kind of showing like the fact that they asked is getting permission to participate in the survey and completing the concept map, which avoids the ethical issue of basically respecting the rights of participants. And the last one, in paragraph 75, the author stated, it should be noted that participating in the study was a potential influence on pre-service teachers as they were asked to watch videos of their teaching practicum and to reflect on their instruction during interviews with the research team. I kind of listed that as a field issue because the researchers aren't necessarily saying that the influence was bad or good, but they kind of faced a challenge in regards to the engagement of the participants with the study's central phenomenon at an in-depth level. I don't know if that's also an example, but what do you guys think?
So I'm trying to see.
I think the paragraph 75 one is more solid than the
Okay.
second one. Not that it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're more confident in that one, then we should use that one. Just because it's not necessarily specified that they're gatekeepers,
Yeah.
but I mean, they're all good, but I would probably go with the paragraph 75 example.
Okay. Yeah, we can remove this one.
What do you think, Patty?
Yeah, that I agree.
Okay, let's just remove this because it's kind of a long section 2 anyways. I don't
And
want to
it'll
put
make
too
it
much
just
information.
really to the point. I like that.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So then moving on to chapter 12, we talked about applying our knowledge of the content of this chapter to the mixed method student note-taking study found at the end of the chapter starting on page 410. So the first part was to give 3 pieces of evidence for identifying the student note-taking study as an example of mixed methods research. And so I looked at paragraph 1 and who was that? Sandra, thank you for your input on that one too. I kind of combined our answer together, and I put in the first paragraph of the introduction, paragraph 1, and the purpose statement, paragraph 10. I was just specific as to where I found it. The authors indicate that this article will be using a mixed method design. Okay. And then you put in the abstract, it states qualitative themes and quantitative findings from previous research were used. And the article is separated in 2 sections, a qualitative phase and a quantitative phase. And I have a question about that because I did see like they have that the title quantitative phase, but within it, it talks about the 2 qualitative and quantitative designs. So I don't know if that means it was separated in that way. I just feel like it was kind of using the qualitative to kind of explain their quantitative results. I don't know if you guys agree. Tell me what you think of that.
I agree because later on for question 3, we have to kind of state like the type of mixed method, and in that kind of mixed method, you're basically starting with a quantitative phase and then going to a qualitative phase. So it kind of makes sense that in the study, they start with that section first, the quantitative phase, and then they go into the qualitative to help explain some of the missing or maybe the reasons as to why quantitative data ended up that way in a sense. So it makes sense that they're kind of bouncing back between the types of data within those sections, or at least within the qualitative phase.
Yeah, so I just don't know. I'm okay with it. I don't care either way, but I just don't know if they're really separated into 2 sections. I feel like they're kind of just basing one, you know, they're giving reasons as to why this happened in this study and how this better explains, you know, this part of the study because of the 2 designs. So I don't know if separated is the best word, I would say, but it's up to you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can put like the article includes 2 sections listed as.
Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I'm sorry, and I'm not being nitpicky. We can leave it. It doesn't matter.
Okay, no, it's fine. Whatever feels most comfortable with you guys, it's completely fine. I think I just worded it that way because as I was reading the article, I saw the 2 separate sections. So I was just like,
Yeah.
there's 2 sections.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Anyway, on to the last part. So the very last part of it, I just added that they had rigorous quantitative and qualitative data, and they collected it and analyzed it. And then I gave an example of the data they collected for each one. So for the quantitative experiment, they had 93 students that participated. And then for the qualitative research, they had student interviews. And I didn't know if I should add what they analyzed, but I was like, I don't want to make it too long. So I just left it at that. And then the last sentence was researchers used qualitative results to more clearly explain specific quantitative results.
For the 90 students, was that a survey?
No, that was the experiment where they gave them the 7 questions cap, the 14 question cap, and the 21 question cap. They had 3 different groups.
Oh, okay.
That was the experiment that they did to see which, you know, the differences in knowledge or what they would learn at the end based on how many questions they were given to copy and paste.
I would probably just put after participated, I'll just put like in the experiment, because then it kind of shows quantitative research designs usually use an experiment in a way, like whether it be like a survey or experiment, that kind of distinguishes it from being a qualitative.
I have it right here in the quantitative experiment, but we can add it again.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Okay.
It's fine. We can add it twice. It's fine.
Okay.
And then that's it for that question, unless you ladies want to add anything else.
That was good.
That's fine, yeah.
All right, so for number 2, we have the question, why did the researchers choose to conduct a mixed method study instead of a quantitative or qualitative study?
I wasn't sure if it was asking specifically like why this study was doing it, but I kind of just vaguely wrote it chose this methods, the mixed method study over quantitative or qualitative study in order to make sense of the quantitative results that might not have been otherwise been able to answer.
Yeah, I almost feel like this question is asked again in question 3
A little bit.
and 4, because I'm like, okay, we're kind of saying the same things all over again. But I agree with your answer. I just was like, they're asking this question kind of in a different way every time they ask a question. Because number 3 kind of addresses the same thing, but that's fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there was a quote on page 410 from the abstract. It just says like, however, puzzling results often obtained from dependent measures were quite inconsistent. So with no adequate theoretical explanation, a follow-up explanations phase of qualitative investigation was conducted. So if you want, I can copy that quote because that's just like supporting the fact that your
Oh, I
reasoning
like that.
why they
Yeah.
chose this.
What do you think,
Yeah.
Sandra?
Okay,
sounds
let me
good.
just paste it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I felt like it kept going back to the mixed methods and kind of asking very similar questions. I was like, okay, we kind of already said that, but okay, they're asking again.
Yeah.
All right, so for number 3, it said to identify the study's mixed method design and indicate the priority and timing of the design using the mixed methods notation system. And I think you're spot on, but go ahead.
Yeah. So for this study, it uses a sequential explanatory design. Thank God, because the title said it. But in order to show it in the mixed methods notation system, it's basically in all caps, quan with an arrow sign pointing to qual in lowercase, which means that it has unequal priority due to the all caps and lowercase, and then the arrow means that it has sequential timing.
Perfect. All right, and then in number 4, did you ladies want to add anything to that? I thought that was perfect.
For number 3 or number
For
4?
number 3, I'm sorry, before I move on.
I think it's perfect too.
Okay. All right. For number 4, it asked in what ways did the authors combine or mix the 2 data sets? And I said the way in which the authors combined the 2 data sets was by correlating the quantitative results to the qualitative data. The mixed methods design helped the researchers better explain the results. So I kind of feel like I'm reiterating what I'd already said in the first question. But I did quote at the very end on chapter 73, paragraph 73, it said, given the mixing of the qualitative and quantitative data, we can explain why we obtain these results. So as exemplified by this study, the collection and analysis of qualitative data relevant to the goals of the cognitive experiment can illuminate important nuances that might otherwise remain hidden. So basically, they're just saying that each of the 2 help to explain, I guess, their results better. Did you girls want to add anything to that one?
No, I think that's a perfect example. I'm
Okay.
not sure if he was expecting like another example, but I mean, that's perfect. I really didn't know how to answer this question with a quote, so that was great.
Okay, that's the best one I found. I was like, well, that kind of says what the reasons why they used the mixed data sets or the 2 data sets. So, all right. I think that's the end of it. Yep, that's it. All right.
Okay.
Good job. This one was, I get so confused. I'm like, wait, qualitative, quantitative. So I have to go back and forth and kind of reset my mind and go, okay, this one does this and this one does that.
Yeah, and when there's something missing, like, or not like specifically defined in the study, it makes it a little harder. So, I mean,
For sure.
but
All right. Well, good job, girls. I'll go ahead and stop recording.